KLOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. I'm always impressed by doers, Robin. I'm always impressed by people who are influential. And we have a gentleman on the phone right now that fits that description. Nick Keller is an established leader within the sports industry. He's an entrepreneur as well, an advocate for advancing mental wellness. He's the founder and president of Beyond Sport. If you're looking at the video streaming right now, that is the logo that I got off of beyondsport.org. Nick Keller is also the founder of Benchmark Sport International. He's a consultant to the International Olympic Committee, and he spearheaded the Refugee Sport Initiative. He's got a lot on his plate, and he took time out to talk to us today. How about that, huh?
Yeah, pretty amazing.
That's pretty good. The Stay in the Game Forum, bringing together leaders across sectors to explore the ways that sport can play a role to advance mental wellness. I love the whole concept. I don't know much about it, but I love what I've heard so far. Nick Keller. Good morning, Nick. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Hi, well, good afternoon. Happy July the 4th Independence Day to all our American cousins. I hope you're having a great day.
Thank you. And where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in London. I'm based in London today.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm calling in from there.
Yeah, this is the day we celebrated independence from England. So I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm glad it all worked out, though.
Yeah, we're delighted. It's all good.
You know, it's interesting. We have heard talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars considering being a team over in your world, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's such a great NFL vibe over in London at the moment. I think there are 4 games coming up in London in the fall, and what's really exciting is as they go to a new stadium, which is the new Tottenham Spurs Stadium built in North London. It's absolutely stunning. I was there yesterday for the launch of the NFL Academy over there, and I got to tell you, it is the most remarkable stadium to be in. It's completely state-of-the-art. So there's an exciting 4 games coming up in the fall. We're going NFL crazy over here, really.
And you just had the Red Sox and the Yankees play over there, too, for baseball.
Absolutely. Cracking game. Certainly, I had some friends that I had childcare duties, actually, so I couldn't get down, but a lot of my colleagues were down, and they said the atmosphere was fantastic. And for the first kind of couple of games for MLB, it was really exciting for them to have those games, and such 2 remarkable kind of American sporting brands and global sporting brands putting on a showcase in our Olympic Stadium. Really exciting stuff, really.
What I love about what your notes tell me is that in addition to having a real passion for sports, you also have a passion for people's mental wellness, and you've figured out a way to allow sports to play a role in that. Explain that.
I think that sport and mental wellness are intrinsically linked in a way in so many different facets. I mean, of course, we know that if you participate in sport and if you do train or keep fit, that it's more likely that you're going to have better mental wellness outcomes. And also playing in a team obviously can help as well, but that also can have its negatives as well if not used correctly. But what we want to see is with sport is not only people just participating and getting involved, but how can sport and the platform, and we talked briefly of 2 of the leagues there, but when you collaborate all the leagues together, they've got a remarkable platform that allows people to talk openly. Over 44 million people in the US have some sort of mental health condition. I think everyone has some form of mental wellness issue across some sort of spectrum. There's no one that can wholly say, I'm okay. And I think once we start accepting that and having open conversations, we can surely avoid getting into situations where people's lives come into jeopardy. And I suppose ensuring those conversations happen, whether it be with a friend, a colleague, family friend, a mentor, coach, is the most crucial thing. Those first conversations, and obviously sport can offer that tremendous platform. By participating in sport, we know it can really improve things as well.
Are we talking about youth, children, or are we talking about every age group?
I think we can look, when we see mental health, we have to look across the whole spectrum at the moment, and we certainly know as we approach what probably could be a new mental health crisis that's coming our way when we look at use of social media, and if we look at how young people are entertaining themselves at the moment, and we look at the power of social media, there might be a sort of different issues coming around the corner. So I think we're talking across the spectrum. What's vital is that people feel a sense that they can talk about it openly without stigma, is absolutely vital. And when we look at sports role there, especially around young people, invariably you may not have a relationship with a teacher or even your parents to have these conversations, but there's enough dwell time around sport and sports coaching that those conversations are possible as well.
You had a variety of panelists and a lot of interactive roundtable discussions from a lot of people that had actual stories about themselves at the Stay in the Game forum.
Yeah, we did. We were privileged to have Brian Dawkins there, NFL Hall of Famer, and obviously the Eagles. From the Eagles, Brian New Impact Foundation is going to touch on mental health issues, but he's very open. The fact that Brian talks so openly about his own attempt of suicide and his journey back from that, it offers so much hope and insight to others that are experiencing these sort of things. We had Nate Boy there, former NFL and Green Beret, getting a perspective from the armed forces. We had Corey Hirsch there from the NHL as well, talking very openly about what these environments that promote masculinity can be. And of course, we had remarkable storytelling from Jessica Howard, former US gymnast, talking about her experience and her journey as well. And you know what? It's not just the celebrities that have them. It's the everyday stories that also can be sort of hard-hitting. But the more openly that we can have people of profile talking about it, the more chance you're going to have people that aren't sure or feel the stigma opening up to others. And therefore, then we can reach a point where they can... we can move into action and ensure that they have the right treatment and recovery process.
Is the end goal achieved by only participating, or is it also by being a spectator?
The crucial thing about our events is what we do is we convene knowledgeable people. Beyond sport, we never claim that we know everything, but what we are very good creating platforms to convene people together, like the National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention and Centerstone, and the Citron 33 Foundation, and USA Cycling. And so we pull knowledgeable people around them, people that have a vested interest, who really can help advise. And then once you pull the platform of Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, the NBA, the NFL, NHL, and WNBA together under that umbrella, not only have we got the platform, we have people of knowledge together. And this gives us a huge opportunity, a collective goal to advance efforts around this area. Yeah. And that's our job really at Beyond Sport, to convene the right people and ensure that action happens after and that we drive impact and the conversation continues beyond the event.
So how would a person become part of this? An easy way to answer that would be to look at Special Olympics, and you realize that the people who participate in Special Olympics, normally just kids, but they have some kind of a diagnosable mental condition that's probably with them for the rest of their lives. But the mental illness that we often talk about, like what Robin Williams went through and Anthony Bourdain went through and so many others, how do they use what you're offering as a way to remedy what they're going through?
So we're not here. Beyond Sport's job is to bring collaborations together of people of influence and people with platforms and people working with the grassroots and on the ground, and how we can empower them as well. We personally don't won't be reaching out ourselves to people with, that we might be challenged with mental sort of wellness issues. But our job is to make sure that people are informed and that we're using best practice and that everyone is collaborating and sharing some of that best practice that's available to people. So I think that's the key piece from us, is that our role is to support the people on the grassroots, help mapping where sport can make a difference, helping put toolkits together for various organisations that then might disseminate those to coaches or to grassroots organisations in the local community. So we ourselves won't reach out to individuals, but our job is to really inform the kind of the key stakeholders in the biosphere, those that have the network in the communities that are involved with people on the ground, and that can then offer that support.
We had spoken to an author, a woman, and she was married to a sports coach in Jacksonville, Florida. They had 4 children, and they had heard that there were high depression and high suicide rates at a high school by the Arctic Circle. So they tried to help them create a football team up there, and they raised the necessary funds for the AstroTurf and everything that they could play. And since the students participated in the fundraising and everything, the rates of suicide and depression went down.
Well, there you're mixing 2 really interesting things. You're pulling a community together around a shared sense of purpose. You're also offering an immediate support group where everyone has clear objective and ambition together. And it is that sense of higher purpose that can sometimes be missing, really. And so what you see there is people coming together and collaborating. And I think one of the most crucial things when it comes to mental wellness, and I certainly, with my own journey in my early 30s, it was certainly that first conversation with someone, that first time that someone said, you have an illness that can be diagnosed and can be treated. Because prior to that, to use the phrase that often people would use, I thought I was going mad. I thought I was going crazy. And so my passion from this comes from, I know that first conversation can lead to saving a life.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And that's what sport fundamentally provides a platform, and these athletes that talk openly about it, that certainly, and it's male and female athletes talking openly about it is crucial, but certainly there's a masculinity piece that has to come out, that men have to cope, and within sport we're told you have to cope. Get out back on the pitch, you're all fine. And it's that sort of attitude that probably stops people talking more openly than they can. And I certainly was saved from a conversation with someone that recognised it. And from that moment on, my complete life changed. Look, then it took 12 years to get to where I am today. But I've got to tell you that ensuring those conversations happen is very important.
So, and I hope I'm not going over the line here, but were you suicidal?
I haven't talked about this story before, but I had one moment where I thought it would be better off. I couldn't live with what was going on in my head, actually.
So somebody was smart enough to see that and was able to talk to you, and you were smart enough to listen.
Yeah, it was a family. It was a kind of family member that looked into my eyes, actually, and said the words, "You're depressed," actually. And literally broke down on the spot. And it was literally from that moment on, really. And so what I hope, and when I ask anyone that's been through the same thing, I asked them what the first moment of relief was. And the first moment of relief is when you know you're not going, and I get to use this phrase, because when you know that you're not going crazy, and I put those in inverted commas because they're not kind of necessarily words that people like to use, but that's how you feel at the time before you have the conversation.
Yeah, well, that person saved your life. That must have been a huge weight off your shoulders, just knowing that somebody else could tell, and that was the beginning for you getting better again.
Well, if someone breaks a leg, we put a bandage on them, we give them medicine, and we put them in rehab.
Right.
Mental wellness is no different. And in sport, I think we have this And here's where the stigma comes through, certainly in the workplace. If we look at the workplace, there's this intrinsic link between performance and the workplace, that people feel that high performance is crucial, when that's going to affect whether I get paid, whether I get that promotion ahead of this person or that person. Performance is really important. And how can we create environments where vulnerability and performance mix together? Because the human condition is one of vulnerability and toughness around decisions that people have in life. It's humanity, it's reality. It's why we're human beings, it's why we're so unique. And so creating environments where vulnerability and performance can blend together. And if I think about the place where performance is at the highest, the relationship where performance is at the highest, it is between a sports coach and an athlete. And if we can create conversations where vulnerability is allowed into that environment, and it still proves that you can win a gold medal, you can win the championship, that you can perform at the highest, yet still express yourself as a human being with vulnerabilities, then we're going somewhere special. Then we're actually starting to grow as humans.
Oh my gosh! It sounds like it's so more involved than what we're able to have time to cover today. I love the fact that you were saved by this very process that you're sharing with other people. I have a quick question. I'm looking at the notes and I notice that you're all over the place: Chicago, Cape Town, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Johannesburg. These are big cities. Now you're talking to a small city, but we have a university here. University of Florida is here, and it's probably 500,000 people, so it's not 8 million like New York City. So would we be able to benefit from this program being a small town?
Yeah, of course. You know, someone like you guys can engage in the movement that we've got going on here, become members of what we're setting up, a network of organisations that look to share information and pull together under the phrase "stay in the game." So that's all very easy. And as we grow, you know, we're beyond sport is we don't just work around mental health. We work across all issues around sustainable development. We're doing a big 3-day event. Again with the leagues in New York in the second week of September over 3 days, talking about how sport can have impact around education, health and inclusion in local communities, can have more dramatic impact around local communities. So we look at different social issues. It might be STEM education, it might be youth justice and crime, and we will take it by sport. You know, how can certain sports lend themselves to social change as well? So we cut across lots of different areas. But for your side, and whether it be your radio station or the university itself, you can join the movement by being part of the Beyond Sport Network. And there we will share information, best practice. You get to go to events, and as we try and map the real benefits that sport has to offer, you can be part of that journey. In a university with such heritage, certainly sporting heritage, as you guys would be honoured to have you involved in that.
Is your resource toolkit different for different locations?
Yeah, you know what, we only ran this event 3 weeks ago, and the most important thing is when we pull a network together is ask the questions as what does the network need? I think it would be for us to go out and start doing the work before finding out what the results of that gathering and the follow-up are. It would therefore the collaboration falls away. We can't dictate what's needed. So now we've pulled people together, and there were over sort of 250 people and organisations kind of engaging in it. We'll start putting together what came out of the event, start pulling together working groups and next steps. And our hope is that one of those working groups will be, putting together a toolkit. It's a really fascinating question. How do you create something that can be used by everyone, that is for every community, when every community has its own different issues? And mental wellness can be driven by so many different things. And when we look at public health issues, they're so diverse. And so, where does one community sit against another? And I think it's a really sensible question. Can one toolkit be the same as the other? And I think that's a question around sport for social development and any social development. You have to create things that can be shared, but you also have to make them capable to be used by a community as well.
Right. I'd say I went to the website beyondsport.org. So if I went to the event in September in New York, what would I do? Do I watch somebody talk from an auditorium?
No, it's a really fascinating event we've got going on. We're privileged to be working with SAP in Hudson Yards in New York, and they've given us an entire floor of their building in Hudson Yards for 3 days. And we're going to be creating effectively a marketplace of discussion. So you're not going to be staring at people sitting on stage, panel after panel. It's going to be engaging debates. There'll be soapboxes. There'll be best practice sessions. Anyone who really engages in sport. And, in sport we use the hyperbole quite a lot, that it builds character, that we build leaders, it's teamwork, it's humanistic, it shapes people. But actually we need to make sure that it's used properly. In the right way. Sport really does uplift. The real essence of Beyond Sport is the nuance that, sport can have positive impact on individuals, on community and society as a whole.
Right.
But to do that, we have to use it properly. And to gather all those humanistic benefits, we have to make sure people are sharing best practice. John Amici, the famous NBA player and now, he's a doctor of psychology, says just a fantastic line that simplifies it. You can't just toss a ball in the middle of kids and hope things are going to happen.
Right.
How we use coaches, how we use safe spaces, how we teach sports in the right way. What is our duty of care? People's sporting experience can be negative as well. And so ensuring that when we sell sport around youth specifically and around adults and all those benefits of character we talk about we do it in the right way, because genuinely it has the potential to change lives substantially when used correctly, and it is amazingly uplifting. And no country knows that greater than your own. And so when we see how sport weaves its way through American culture, we also have to make sure that at the grassroots level it's delivered in the right way with the right spirit, so all those things that we talk about that are so valuable in building life skills and individuals, and indeed saving some individuals, are done in the right way.
Nick, I want to, we have to wrap it up, but I wanted to make sure we get information out there so people can help you. One thing we can do is to make sure that this podcast gets out there in addition to the live broadcast we're doing right now. So we'll do that. But, are you looking for sponsors, corporate sponsors?
Yeah, so there's two things. We're obviously looking for corporate partners to be alongside us, people that want to host events. We'd love to come down to work down in Florida with you and host events down there. But actually, we've got a foundation that gives grants to the best projects in the world. So we reach 140 countries. We find the best organizations in the world that are working in sport to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals as laid down by the UN. And what we do is we find these projects, they enter our process, and we find the best projects in the world, the best leaders in communities, and we fund them. So if anyone wants to get involved with the Beyond Sport Foundation, you just go on to beyondsport.org, or you can pop me an email, nick@beyondsport.org. But also we're looking for companies to engage with us. And we've got fantastic partners, not only the leagues involved with us as well, but ESPN are a very big partner of ours, SAP are a new partner of ours as well. And so, we are really excited to open the conversation. The more partners we have, the more people that can spread the message and be part of this journey, the better.
I love the idea that you've got to figure it out so that it's not just about the men getting help, but that the women will be part of this as well.
Yeah, we've got a huge gender piece that sits at the cornerstone of our organisation. And the great thing about Title IX in the US is you've created a university infrastructure that makes sure equal funding. But certainly within the industry of sport, there needs to be more gender equality, and certainly within the pay structure as well. But so many of our organisations that we work with, gender and diversity and inclusion sit at the heart of the work that's being done.
Nick, thank you for being on the air. Thank you for what you're doing. You're making the world a better place, and you had to go through your own hell to get there, but I'm glad you came out of it well and that you're helping other people get well.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. It's a real honour to speak to you today on Independence Day, and thank you to Larry and Robin for chatting with us. It's been great, and all the best to everyone at the University of Florida and in the area, and I hope they have a great holiday.
Thank you, Nick. We'll be right back.
Take care.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. President Trump slamming the Republican who quit the party, saying Congressman Justin Amash's departure